Alright, so today we're going to talk about using loops to process files. So typically files, if you think about your files, they have large amounts of data. We don't usually just have one line or some small amount of data. A lot of times we have a lot of data in the file, and we're going to want to loop over these things and do reading and writing to a file inside of a loop. So we're going to want to process the items sort of individually one at a time. So if you think of it like a spreadsheet, um, or like a CSV, a common delimited spreadsheet, for example, is probably easy to use. There's a lot of different items in the file. We want to go through them one at a time and do something with them. So a lot of times we have no idea like how many things are in the file. So um, someone writes the file, they never put in there like there's 6 things in this file. They just put the things in the file. And so what we have to do, we're going to want to loop until we reach the end of the file. So the readline method will do this for us, and what it does is it uses an empty string when it reaches the end of a file. So we can use this as a loop condition. So we can say, for example, while line not equals, blah blah blah, um, as our loop condition. So generally, structurally, how this is going to work: you're going to open the file, you're going to use readline to read the first line from the file. Again, this is sort of our priming pump, right? We have to do this a lot. Sort of prime our reads or prime our loops, right? Because it's a while loop. So we're going to say, we're going to come into that, we're going to do a test. Did the read line return an empty string? If it didn't, we're going to process that item, and we're going to use read line to read the next line from the file. Then we're going to go back up to the beginning. When read line returns an empty string, we're going to close the file. So notice that this is actually 2 quote marks together. That's not quote space quote. It's just quote quote. Nothing in the middle. Not a space, nothing in the middle. It's just quote quote. Okay? And of course, if you write this in code, there should be a colon at the end of this, right? While line not equal quote quote and then colon. So we can use another version of this, another way that we can do this. Python has a lot of different ways to do a lot of things. It's kind of an odd language. There are a lot of different ways to do things. We can write a for loop that automatically reads the lines in the file and stops when the end of the line is reached. So we had this structure before, which is how you would do it in a lot of different languages. Or you can also do this in Python, but there's another way to do it in Python that's really nice, and that's to use this in operator. So we can say for line in file object do things. And line is a variable name, and then file object is a variable name. So the way this would work would be, you would open the file object first. So you would say, file1 equals open blah blah blah, whatever our file name is, and then you would say for line in. So let's look at some code. Let's just do this in code. So the first thing we would do would be open our file. Let's go look at our file. And we're not going to read. It's nice, but simultaneously annoying. So we're going to open our file. Let's go into our file and add some things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right. So here I've written some things to the file. I'm going to save these things. So again, the syntax is for line in file object. So here our file object name is 1, so we're going to say for, I'm going to call my variable this line in file 1 colon print this line. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to print the lines of the file, right? So this is kind of an odd syntax. I guess if you're a Java programmer, this looks a little weird. But this sort of goes back to the whole list idea for Python. Python does everything with lists. A file, in some sense, is just a list of lines, right? So we're going to do this thing like a list. We're going to run this thing, and it's going to print these things out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, the reason that there's 2 spaces is that every one of these lines is going to have a new line at the beginning of it, and then print is going to put another new line in there. So if you really want to print this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with no space in between it, you need to do an R strip, right? You need to R strip the line to remove the the new line, and then everything will print fine. All right. So that's it for this video. We'll talk about processing records later in the next video. Thanks for watching.